Welcome back to another episode of Rusted Up Garage. Today we're going to do a little tech tip on packing and checking wheel bearings. If you haven't yet, hit the subscribe, hit the like. We need likes, we need subscribes, because we're really trying to get this channel to go up in likes. But anyways, enough about pushing buttons. Push the button. Share this baby. But we're going to do wheel bearings real quick on this car. This is the 55 volts. If you can't tell, it has a lot of rust proofing going on back here, and like 50 something years of grease basically in this area. You can barely tell, but it has some. So anyways, I've done the other side, so I pretty much know what it looks like, and it's bad. But we're gonna do this side with you, and maybe you'll learn a little something. Maybe you won't. Generally, I will compress the brakes back a little bit. So you can basically shove a screwdriver in this little hole right here and just push on that cylinder just a little bit. And I'm actually going right here between, I don't know if you can see or not, what I probably need to do is fire up my new light. I got my new Christmas light right here. I don't know if that helps or not. Does that help you guys out at all? Or does that make it just flicker real bad?
That's actually not too bad.
Okay. Well, anyways, I go between, there's like right between the drum, not the drum, but the brake pad. There's like a little gap here. I was going here, and I'm just going to push that back a little bit. So what that's doing is it's freeing up the brake pad a little bit so we can pull the rotor off. Okay? Now, this has been converted. This car would have originally had drums all the way around it. We bought it, this conversion was already done. So I just wanted to check the front end because I felt some weirdness when we drove it. And I'm glad I checked it because basically the wheel bearings were bad, and so wasn't the, and the bolts weren't tight on the adjuster. I mean on the conversion plates. So we had Zach saying, you know, we probably should just do a short little video for y'all. We've been trying to do videos, and we do a lot of videos, but they don't make it through cutting station very fast. So as I can get Zach to cut them, or as I can learn to do it maybe soon, we'll try to get more out. So we're going to pull the brake pads shoes, sorry. And the brake pads actually look really good. Now, originally someone I think hung these right here. You can tell, you know, by the way that string is. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to set them right up here. I don't care about that. Now this side actually seems tight compared to my other side. The other side, this was all loose. That ain't too bad. The other side was way worse. So, first thing you gotta do is you gotta basically get rid of the dust cap. Now, being that this has been converted, there's some special spacers in these rotors that make the bearings work. But see, I automatically, when I first take it off, and there's not a lick, I mean, there's not, I mean, a hint of grease in that scares you. Then when you look in here and you see how clean that is, I mean, that's clean. So that's a good indication that someone didn't put enough grease in there. Because really wheel bearings like grease. They spin a lot, and when they spin and the brakes are on, they create this thing, it's called heat. And when that heat does its thing, it will really get rid of the integrity of the bearing with no grease. So we gotta pull up the, now these weren't really installed properly either, so I destroyed them, and I don't have any, so I'm gonna give you the old tip on how we're gonna fix that. So the other side was actually reverse thread, because that's just the way it is. Sometimes they are, sometimes they're not. But so you just take off the nut, which as you can see basically weren't tight, and then oh yeah, look at that. As I suspected, I don't know if you can see it or not.
Maybe we go over to the workbench.
Yeah, maybe. Let me wipe this thing down. I mean, you can see there's hardly any grease on it. But you see how discolored that bearing is? I mean, that's, it shouldn't be them cool colors. But you can see there's like no grease in this thing at all. These bearings are smoked. They weren't previously packed even close to right. So that's why we're pulling them out. Now, the other thing too, these are more of them collars I was telling you about to make all this work. Now, if you look in here on this conversion kit, basically you get rid of the drum and then you bolt these plates on, and this is how the conversion works. Now, on the other side, these were actually loose. This whole arm was loose. I'm going to throw the impact gun on in a minute. But what we're going to do here is we're going to do wheel bearings here in a second. Now, the other thing too, in this front end, I have a front end for this. This is like a kingpin style front end, and we got new springs, new shocks coming for it. And then the other big thing is you can tell the sway bar don't work well in this thing, and you can tell it's bad by basically, the way it is. It don't sway much. Well, no, actually the car sways a lot. The bar don't sway for crap. So we did get some upgraded bars for it. Can you believe that somebody actually made these bigger bars? I mean, these things are monsters compared to this little pencil thing that's in here. So we're gonna do the right thing and remove on the factory little bar and put something in there that's gonna, when this car goes in the corner and dips, it's gonna do something. So let's bring this sucker over the bench and beat out these races. So first things first, I need my hammer. It might get flickery though. You want me to try it? Let's see if it flickers. For some reason we got flicker lights, people. Flicker lights?
Nope.
Hey.
It's actually good.
Okay.
Now you can do some seam.
Yeah, so we're gonna pop off this seal. I have new seals. Now, let's pull off this bearing. Now, look how dry that is in there. There's like hardly a lick of grease. There's hardly a lick of grease on these bearings. I mean, there's not, you can see, you really can't see, but you can see, oh yeah, there you go. See the daylight down there? You can actually see that there's no grease on the backside of them bearings. I mean, these things are junk. Junk, junk, junk. And the other thing that makes them junk too is they say China on them. So we're gonna do the right thing and we're gonna toss them away. So now, to get the races out, I just use like a chisel and I'm gonna get down in here. Now the thing with this one is there's actually a secondary race thing in this one because of the adapters. So you don't wanna beat on that. You just wanna beat the race out. Because if the bearings are that bad, the races are not good either. So we're just gonna pop these races out like that. Now let me clean this one up. Zach, let me back up here. Give me a little bit of space here so I can show the people. Let me clean up the race and see how bad. Whew, look, grease on my belly. It's hard to believe. More of that big belly problems. You probably can't see it on the camera. I'm gonna lay this down. I don't even know where to put it. It's right there. Maybe Zach can show you, but it is super brown in there. You can see all the discolorment from these bearings. Basically, you can see that's heat. That's from using the brakes and heating up the bearings a little bit. So we were due for failure. Now same thing, I just did the same thing on the inside, is basically oh yeah, you can definitely see that one. Look at that one, Zach. She's in the wrong color. That one's in the right color. You see them side by each? See? Nice brown, nice brown, nice brown, nice brown, nice brown, nice brown. So burnt, not burnt. Now, when I put these back in, there's a couple ways you can do that. You can heave these suckers in the freezer and they'll just basically drop right in. But because I weren't going to do this today and I decided to do this today, it's too late to put them in the freezer. So basically I'm just going to put them in. They are tapered. Obviously taper goes like this. Put them in backwards, bearings ain't going to go in well. So I just evenly tap them in like that. And then I get me a nice little brass punch. You can kind of tell when they're in by the way they sound. I mean, if it sounds solid, you can check them too. I mean, you can see they're in there all the way. You really can't see from there, but so that's how you throw that race in. Just flip it over. Just grab this front race. This one ain't quite as easy because of this adapter. So you can see the adapter, it's way out here on this. This is all a big adapter for this. And again, you're not going to hurt this race, especially with a brass punch. You're not going to hurt this race. You hear that? Again, you can tell by the way it sounds. She's in there. So, now that's done. Next, we're gonna get these bearings packed, then we're gonna tighten that all back up, and we're gonna assemble it. Now, how I like to pack bearings is the good old-fashioned ways. You get yourself your nice gloves. Ooh, that one's got a hole in it. That right there would be a problem.
Grease?
That would be some nice grease in your hand, which I've done it in my hand. You know, if you don't have gloves, your hand works, and then your hand's like it's waterproof for days. So definitely get yourself a good wheel bearing grease, whether it's synthetic, whether it's just a good one. I'm using this Timken wheel bearing grease. That's because I'm using all Timken bearings. I like this stuff. It works well for this application. So go ahead and get yourself a couple fingers of it like that, and just put it in your palm like that. Get your new bearing out.
Probably open it out of the package first.
It's nice and new and clean. And if you're reusing these, you want to wash these out real good. Don't spin them, wash them out. So the trick is backwards, like this cone, is you grab them like this, right? And you actually, you're gonna just pull them into your hand like this. And you're gonna pull in the grease at an angle, like that. And you can tell when you got enough grease in there. You see how it's starting to come out, the bearings in here? They're here. So I've actually been pulling it in. So once you get it there, you can turn it. See, it's coming out. Turn it. Turn it. Don't be afraid of the grease. I like to really pack it in there. You can see it's coming out everywhere. Now, we're getting a good pack on this bearing. Okay. A little extra grease in there. I like grease. So we're gonna put a little extra in there. Like that. Then we're gonna grab our other one right here. We're gonna pre-pack this one, then we can get these gloves off and do what we gotta do, and not have greasy hands.
Never have enough grease.
Well, I mean, you can technically. Not really, but I mean, you don't want it blowing out down the road around the seal. It's the same thing. I'm just taking this and I'm just working it in. You twist it. And I'm not twisting the bearing on the inside. I'm twisting the whole bearing to the next section, like that. And see how it's just gooing out. Okay, so that bearing is definitely good and greased. Let's get all this good grease off our hands like this. I want to put it over on this other side here. Put some grease down in that hole. Okay. Let's get these off. And then we'll reassemble everything. And let's get the grease off my brakes. We don't want grease on the brakes. We don't want a good greasy brake. Now we just got the seal. We're gonna put the dust seal back in. Yep. And then this one uses that adapter piece right here. So I'm gonna put that adapter piece back on here, pass the seal. So now I know that's all good, okay?
Lights.
And then we're gonna unplug the lights because we're getting flicker over here. There's probably not gonna be much editing on this one, Zach, because we just basically been, you know,
One take?
the whole thing, you know.
Time for everything, I guess.
Yeah. I'm trying to keep it short too, short, sweet. You know,
You like to ramble.
I do ramble, and I do talk fast. And I'm working on that too. Hope you all had a great Christmas too, by the way. I imagine this one's gonna be out before New Year's. You know, maybe. Depends if Zach does his job right. You know, so Happy New Year's. And let's tighten up these bolts real quick with the old Zip-O-Matic. And then we'll throw it back together. Loose. Loose. Not as loose as the other side. Ooh yeah, see, look at that. Look at that. See that? Loose. That's what I'm talking about. I mean, they're lock nuts. I just don't think they tighten them enough. That's what I think. Since we're pulling this front end back apart in a few weeks, we'll double check all that, and probably put a little Loctite on those. But I feel better knowing that that's all tight now. We're gonna reverse process this sucker, and we're gonna slide this bag on like that. Okay. Oh, you're good. It can hold itself up. And then we're gonna throw the bearing back in there, like that. And then the washer. Remembering where the hole's at, right there on the side. Okay. That back on there, like so. And then the trick to this nut is you put it on with the impact gun as tight as you can. You just keep wailing it on there. No, I'm just joking, don't do that. I can usually tell what to set these by the way it feels. I've been doing this for a long time. And the other thing too is I'm gonna go back and check these. After we're just gonna drive it a little bit, and I'm gonna go back and check these. So You don't want them too tight because they'll overheat again on you. But you don't want them too loose because that's another problem. Now, I don't have a cotter pin, so I'm gonna do the right thing and use a nail, which is not the right thing. But again, it'll get you home, and this ain't staying together, so really it's just going together so I can get it off the rack, because we're gonna do a few things to it, and then it's coming right back on the rack, because we're trying to get the whole thing ready to go to sick week. We're part of the sick ward, so this thing's got to be in Florida in about 5 or 6 weeks, and we have a lot we want to get done, but probably not all we're going to get done. So we're going to basically do what we can, and hopefully that's enough to get it to sick week in Florida, because that's going to be a freaking awesome event. So we will see how that goes, and then we're going to go ahead and reinstall the dust cap. Strike the dust cap, you just keep slamming it right here in the middle, and it gets nice. No, I'm just joking. Sorry. I should probably say don't do what I say to do on some things. Again, don't use an impact gun on that. You just kind of spin it. You want it tight, but you don't want it loose. That makes sense, right? And don't forget your monster. Because we run on that around here. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to reassemble our brakes. Now, these could use a little bit of caliper grease and such. But again, I know I'm taking this thing back apart literally in a couple weeks, and we're not really driving it anywhere. It's just moving it around the yard so we can do what we got to do. So I'm not going to worry about that now, but I most definitely will. Damn it. See that, Zach? See that crap? I'm just gonna sneak it right in here. You know why? Because I can. And I'm sure there's proper torque settings for all this. I kind of have a click and elbow, so I just kind of go until my elbow goes click. And I know it's good, kind of by the way it feels. If you don't have one, you can look up the specs. And get yourself a good torque wrench, and you can torque stuff if you want. Again, I don't, but I mean I do some things like engines and stuff, but stuff like this don't really. To me, just get it tight. Click. See, just like that. Click. Perfect. So now we've reassembled all that. Now remember, where I loosen up that piston in here, when you first put the brakes on, they're going to feel really soft because it's just going to push that cylinder out. So the trick is you pump your brakes a few times before you drop her an R and send her off the ramps, because you'll be coming off the ramps, you'll be like pushing the brakes, you're going to be like, no brakes, and maybe hit the wife's car. So do the right thing, pump the brakes whenever you push them cylinders around. So, but that's it for today. Again, just a quick little episode of wheel bearing upgrades. Now we do have a few cool things that have come in for this thing, which we will discuss in future videos. But there's some really cool parts that's come in for this car that we're going to be doing. Again, there's some more content coming for the 2017 Chevy, and we're going to be getting going on the what is that one? Mason's the K30. Yeah, that is a K30. On the K30 and the Camaro. So we got tons of stuff. So, but anyways, thanks again. Make sure you subscribe and share with your friends. And we're just going to keep doing some videos. Again, sick week is coming, and that's going to be a freaking blast. So hopefully we can have this car done by then. As long as the parts come in. That's honestly, it's waiting on stuff. So, but have a great week. Have a great New Year's, and Merry Christmas. So, peace out.